we have Switch4 with us today. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us how you started playing Eve.
Yeah, so I'm Switch4. I'm the CEO of Heretic Army and an exec in the Alliance Divine Damnation and lead FC for the Angel Cartel public faction group in Discord. In real life, I'm a firefighter EMT and captain of the search and rescue, underwater search and rescue team, father to two boys, and I started playing back in end of 2006 when my cousin introduced me to the game, and I've been stuck ever since.
Awesome. So you're running for CSM19 this year. Tell us what your platform is.
I am. So my main focus is ideally low sec, small to mid gang, and faction warfare. Um, I pushing for a lot of changes with AWOXing, allied militia members, working on mechanics changes that make like pirate faction more useful than it is now, other than an LP farm. And I just want to push for more small to mid-sized fleet incentives.
And that's it? You don't have any other quality of life things or.
There's so many quality of life things, little UI things. I would almost recommend going to my CSM forum post on the eForums for a lot of that information. Like little things like maps within the pirate faction warfare map in game is a disaster. Uh,
As is
yeah,
almost every map that CCP
everything.
has.
The faction warfare map itself isn't actually all too bad. I kind of like that. It's at least more manageable than the pirate side of things. But there's so many different changes I'd like to see, and it's just a matter of prioritizing, I guess.
All right, fair enough. So, new players are kind of the lifeblood of EVE Online, and getting new players coming in is more important than ever.
Mhm.
So, what do you think are the biggest challenges that they're facing right now?
One of the big things that I've noticed, at least for a lot of the new players that are coming into like faction warfare side of things, is the lack of resources to direct players uh, to the other player bases within
Mm,
that group where they want to go. Like for faction warfare, all the faction warfare groups usually have a main public Discord. And for pirate faction, for Angel Cartel side of things, we've been running that for a year now, and I still get people that have been flying for the whole year in there, and we're pinging this information into like the militia chats, and they still don't know that we exist. And
mm-hmm.
so I'd like to. I think the biggest thing is getting new players to their group, to similar people that enjoy what they wanna do.
Yeah,
Um,
I totally agree with that. I actually enlisted a character because, of course, people are coming to me about the AWOXing and a few other
mhm,
problems. I want to check it out myself. So I
yeah.
enlisted, and it's just like, okay, what now?
Exactly. The other thing is honestly the time to skill into something like just a Tech 2 fit frigate, so you can kind of keep up with a lot of things is also another kind of a challenge that I've noticed a lot of. We fly a lot of various things within the cartel fleets, and a lot of people scramble to be able to fly those things, and the amount of time it takes to get into those is another kind of barrier for new players.
So, something that people have come to me about to kind of maybe approach CCP with is letting everyone that comes into the game get their Magic 14 up to 5 automatically. What
Mhm.
would you think about that?
I honestly think it's a great idea. That it's one of those skills that people really don't know about. New players do, and usually when they're coming in to our group, the newer players, that's one of the things that we're already pushing on them. You need these skills trained. Don't worry about getting anything bigger. Don't worry about going as fast as you can to a battleship. It's not about bigger isn't better.
Yep.
And so I would honestly be all for that for not capping. I also am not really a fan of the 5 million. I think it's a 5 million skill point cap for
Mm, for
alpha
alphas, yep.
characters. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of that either. I wish that would be a little bit higher.
So, what do you think would be a good bridge from the career missions into faction warfare?
I honestly don't know. I don't have a great answer for that, and that's mainly because my side of Eve is mostly PvP. I haven't done a whole lot of the career missions other than years and years ago.
Hmm.
Um, with running a group, I kind of find I have limited time to do a lot of those offshoot things. Everybody kind of always looking for me to run the PvP fleets 24/7. Um, I don't know, but I know there has to be something there. I know there has been talks of with these type of missions in Plexus and stuff, gearing people towards actually combat fitting their ships and having some of these NPCs have some type of combat roles like you would see out of a player, and I think that might help people kind of gear towards that a little bit as well.
Okay. And then what suggestion would you give to CCP if you got onto the CSM to help improve new player retention overall?
Uh, One of the big things that I was looking at was, going back to that, like for the faction warfare group side of things, at least, if they can include uh, resources in game that would direct people to like the groups, the public discords that run, and that could be one of those things that is vetted just like station advertisements,
Mm.
where you can submit to CCP, we want our public faction to be added to, if you join a faction warfare group, here's a list of discords or servers, or alliances or corps that are involved in that you might want to reach out to. Um,
So right now, CCP does allow players to submit video ads for the billboards. Have you guys
mhm.
ever thought about doing that?
I actually just recently looked into that with the CSM stuff. Seeing actually how easy that is, I'm actually currently working on some stuff like that. But yeah, absolutely, that's something I do need to start running now that I figured out how easy it was.
And of course, when is the last time that you actually ran the NPE? And that's the actual tutorial.
So I recently, I want to say it was within the last 4 months or so, I'd created a couple new characters for a couple things, and I actually did run through uh, at least a decent portion of that NPE. Um, Being an experienced player, like I said, I've been playing since late 2006. Created my character, I think the first of the year 2007. Um, I was more apt, just like I said, just to rush through it because I kind of know, I like to think I know everything, which isn't the case either because still to this day, we actually have a channel within our Alliance Discord that is, for tips for things that we should know but don't.
So when you were running through the NPE, did anything like jump out at you that they could do better or was really good?
I was honestly just impressed with overall the information that it gives because it did for me it seemed like it was fairly in depth. I think the problem with the game overall though is there's so much information to take in that um, it's tough to kind of go over that and just this NPE and then expect somebody to remember it all.
Yeah. When you started playing in 2006, was there any sort of tutorial at all, or was it literally, go to Eve Uni and take classes and learn Eve that way?
For me, I honestly don't know. There was some type of information out there, but I'm more one of those wing it type people. And having my cousin, like I said, my cousin had played before. He's the one that introduced us to the game. So, and he was still new as well, but he kind of had a brief understanding. And our big resource again was people,
Right.
uh, finding groups that we can play with that can explain things. And um, we didn't have a lot of the resources like that are at now, like with groups like yours. That's awesome. And I wish there was more of that, and more people were willing to do things like that. But like I said, I think the biggest resource for anybody new playing this game is having people that are willing to step up and help guide you through these things.
Well, speaking of those type of communities, I think we can all agree that community in Eve is pretty important. What is your
Mhm.
definition of community within the Eve Online context?
I mean, the player base as a whole, we're all one community, and then you have these inner communities of like-minded individuals. Whether it's within faction warfare, that's their own community. Angel Cartel, Mimitar, Galenti. So there's lots of communities inside the community.
So, does faction warfare, does the four different factions and the pirates, do you guys all view yourself as one big community as well as your individual factions?
I do. because we all have the same kind of goals and ideas. Is what I've kind of noticed over the years, and I've not just been Angel Cartel. I've been part of. We've flown with Amar. We work together with a lot of groups too. We spent a lot of years in Minmatar faction. I was one of the lead FCs when Faction Warfare first originally came out. Uh, we immediately enlisted in Minmatar Faction Warfare, and we're part of that for many years. So, and like I said, we all work together. We fight each other. It's a lot of frenemies type thing.
So, do you guys get together and have meetings about what's going on, the state of faction warfare?
Not enough, honestly. We really should. Like I said, it's a lot of just PvP content popping up and bat phoning each other or fighting each other and I know there is a lot of groups that do talk back and forth. When Pirate Faction first came out, we talked a lot with the Glenty guys, what they were seeing over there, and um, or I should say the Galenti, the Garista side of things. And I've talked a lot with the Galenti and Caldari guys, just with them running fleets into our area, and occasionally have conversations with Minmatar guys, but it's definitely not enough.
Well, that's cool to hear that you guys do talk a little bit. So,
Hmm.
um, now one of the things that I've kind of noticed is there is toxicity within the game space. Eve isn't immune to it, and I know in the past it used to be a lot worse. And before we really get into the question, this isn't PvP. This isn't even AWOXing. AWOXing is kind of part of the game. It sucks, but it's
Yeah.
part of the game.
Yep. Yep.
Ganking and all that, that's part of Eve. I'm talking about racism, sexism, ableism, and
Mhm.
all that stuff. Do
Yeah.
you think it is better today in 2024 than it was in 2006? Same or worse?
I 100% think the game is better. We've come a very long way from where it was. Back 2006 to 2009, really. It was bad, and to the point where people were quitting the game over it, and there was a lot of uh, mental health issues that were coming out of it with some people. I think Eve's come a long way. I think the player base has come away, but just people in general have come a long way to not standing for it.
Mm. And what do you do when you actually come across it?
So I actually do have an example of this. So, I run the Angel Cartel, the public Discord group, where we run a lot of our fleets out of, and uh, it was several months ago. We actually had some group come through requesting roles, and the players were actually posting racist things in the Discord using like letters and
Right.
emojis and stuff like that. And for me, it's an instant ban and an immediate ping to the entire group. I can't believe I have to actually say this, but we do not allow this type of
Oh,
content here. And it I do know of groups that are sadly okay with people that do that.
oh,
And like I said, we've grown up as a community, I think, where you know it's not a joke, it's not funny, and it's not acceptable anymore. And I think part of the problem too is when you're dealing with newer players, you're also dealing not everybody here is an adult. Some of these are
right.
kids that are still learning how to express themselves, and it's just a matter of getting to them early and showing that we can be actually like a wholesome community and be positive while still still having fun, like you said, with PvP and piracy and stuff like
Yep.
that. We don't have to be toxic to do that.
I totally agree. Okay, so now we're gonna get to the fun questions. I have my crystal ball. Congratulations, you made it onto the CSM. You get
Hmm.
into your very first meeting, and you get to see the plans for the next expansion and maybe even the next year. But nothing that you have really campaigned for or that your current expertise is in the expansion. So no faction warfare.
Yep,
Uh,
yep.
what do you think you're going to do?
Uh, I may focus on faction warfare now. I've kind of done a little bit of everything in this game. Like to say everything, but like kind of like the Potchman side of things. We dabbled in the wormholes. I've done Null. We've done high sec wars and mining. We actually had a little Athenor mining empire going here several months ago, and so I have the knowledge that involves kind of all those things, but I also understand that as a CSM representative, it's not just me showing up all about lowsec. I care about the game as a whole. I want the whole game to thrive, not just my little corner of Eve. And you have to go into the CSM with an open mind and understand that yes, this may be a patch, a release for high sec. This may be released for null sec, but all of those have a trickle down effect too, and that's why it's also important to still have like that low sec voice, so you can somebody that's going to see how this is going to trickle down, and it could be good, it could be bad, and have that voice still.
Excellent. I like that. So then you know that if you play Eve long enough, that CCP is going to start messing with things.
Yep.
And usually it's going to be something that we really like. In your case, they decide that faction warfare, they don't want it anymore. They're going to take it out. How do you think you're going to react?
um I'm going to be opinionated about it, obviously, but ultimately CCP has an idea of where they want the game to go, and if they're doing something as drastic as removing faction warfare, they're going to have a pretty solid reason of why. They're going to have numbers. I don't think they're going to remove an entire community or multiple communities just on a whim. And um, yeah, obviously, like I said, I'm gonna be very opinionated about it. I'm gonna be talking with other faction warfare groups and other players, and find out what their thoughts are on it, and go from there.
Okay. Then, oh, excuse me. It's late, like I said.
Yep.
Uh, Sometimes there are communities that are out there that don't really have representation, and maybe they find that you are the most approachable on the CSM. Uh, would you be willing to talk to people and work with people that are kind of outside of your major expertise?
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm still learning in this game after this many years playing this game. I still learn day in and day out. Um, I want people to be able to come to me. That's kind of one of my big pushes. One of my big campaign pushes. I want to actually be your voice. I want to be somebody that is listening, and is going to bring those ideas or those thoughts to CCP. Is CCP going to listen? I don't know. They like I said, they have an idea of where they're going, but whether it's low sec faction warfare or null sec or high sec, it doesn't matter. If somebody has an idea and a thought, I want them to be able to bring it to me and bring it forward.
Oh, you better learn incursions because you're going to inherit my community.
That's
Uh,
fine, and that's something I do want to learn about. Like I said, even to this day, we still dabble in little things here and there. Like I said, we're not just all low sec, all faction warfare, pirate stuff. It's we're all over the place dabbling in things all the time.
awesome. Okay, so this last question in this particular section, I don't think that there's any question that I have asked that is more relevant, and I really should buy a lottery ticket at this point. But players sometimes expect members to fix issues, demand changes, or give more information than the CSM really can.
Yep.
Have you had any thoughts on how you're going to balance the limitations placed on you as a CSM, like the NDA, with making sure players feel heard?
hmm So there's always a fine line, and I think the ultimate thing is making sure you approach CCP and tell them, I want to be a person that can go, uh, you know, at least talk to my player base. I just want to sit there in the back end. Again, I want to be a candidate that your issues are being heard, and that they're being brought forward. And so, obviously, within the limitations of the NDA, you can still communicate with your player base and let them know things. I wish CCP would be more forthcoming with some of the information. I think it would help a lot, uh, as far as between CCP and the CSM and the player base. But like for my guys, I've already told them, if I get voted in, you're not going to get any information from me. It's not going to happen. It's not worth it. Uh, that's not what I want to be remembered for. But at the same time, like I said, I think the important thing is communicating with CCP and say, hey, I know we're limited, but what can I say here?
So, a real example that happened to me for my term is there was a issue with the incursion community, and CCP was going to fix it, but that release wasn't going to come out until June, and this was
Hmm.
back in March. And the only thing that they allowed me to say is uh, they know about the issue and they're taking it seriously. That was
Yeah,
the exact sentence that I was allowed to say for 3 months. Uh,
but
do
you
you
know
think you'd be
that
okay with that?
I would. That is something. It's at least something. You're at least bringing forward, and like I said, I would be okay with that because you're bringing forward. Your issue has been heard. You're not in the dark. They're not forgetting you. I think that speaks a lot to say, they hear you and it's being taken seriously.
Okay. So then, multi-boxing. Um, this is a question for my community because it's kind of become a polarized issue within
Hmm.
half of my community does multi-box. They like to do home
Yep.
fronts, maybe incursions, mine, stuff like that. The other half
Yeah.
thinks that we all should have one account, maybe only one character.
Hmm.
How do you feel about this? Where do you stand?
So I kind of, I almost want to say I'm neutral because I have both thoughts that are positive and negative to it. Um, if you want to pay for those accounts and that's what you want to do and you have got the hardware that can do it, I think you go for it. At the same time, I see where the frustration is. Like we deal with it day in and day out with the faction warfare groups. You
Mm-hmm.
go into a Plex and it's 5 Algoses. You go into a ice heist or a mining op, and all it is a bunch of Vexers, a bunch of Algoses and stuff. It's just somebody multi-boxing. We had a guy in our group that was multi-boxing 20 Drakes, and
How?
it was it was frustrating for me because I want the people that are in my group I want them to be players. I want them to be people that can do things, not one guy sitting behind a keyboard and you know pressing F1 through F8 15 times over. Um, I understand the frustrations and on both sides of things, and I'm open to listen to again both sides. And ultimately, CCP is going to make the decision on there. I have alt. I I run 3 characters normally when I'm running, and that's not 3 Algoses, but I've heard limitation. People where you should only have one account logged on at a time. Well, all right, I have my main while I'm PvPing. What if I want to move stuff with my jump freighter or you have another alt that's eyes somewhere, and so you got to be really careful with the fixes that you could implement there.
Right. So one of the things I've heard people say is if you're going to live the life of a pirate, then you should have the consequences of a pirate.
Yep.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, we live the pirate life every day. -10 sex status, and
So
and
that would mean no other alts to ship things over.
that then it is what it is, right? I guess we'll make do. We actually we have friends. Uh, that's the one nice thing to have in Eve. Again, you come back to the resource of people,
Yep.
and we've got friends that all they like to do is haul. We've got a guy that we basically pay him fuel costs, and he brings in all of our stuff for us from Jita. So
Okay.
this whole game is about adapting.
So then a little bit more serious question though is there is a problem with the AWOXing in faction warfare. Have you given
Mhm.
any thought to what possible solutions could be for this?
Yeah, so I've kind of gone in depth with that a little bit on my CSM forum post, and AWOXing is it's a massive killer, especially for faction warfare groups. I've lost count how many people have come in it last less than a week. They're blowing up in militia chat, blowing up in the public Discord about getting AWOXed by this group or that group, and then they just quit. They're done. And so a lot of these issues that I want to fix or want addressed, it's not just for old players like me. It's also to encourage new player growth, within faction warfare, within low sec. And um, like one of the big pushes that we've kind of tabletopped is We have Concord response in HiSec for acts of aggression. We have some faction warfare side responses when it comes to uh, aggressing like another rat or something like that. We got the mining response fleets in belts and low sec that will attack you if you have a lower security status or anything like that towards that faction. Why don't we have a response, a Concord type response for faction stuff, where if you have an act of aggression that lowers your standing to that particular faction, that they'll come in and blow up your ship type thing.
So I've talked to a couple people about this, and
Hmm.
apparently, I don't know if this is correct or not, since I haven't quite gotten into faction warfare yet. There are cases where you need to AWOC someone in your own fleet to basically get rid of them. But
Yeah,
then the punishment would basically be the same as everybody else. Would that be an acceptable, consequence to have to get rid of a troublemaker or
I guess it depends on what a troublemaker is, and yeah, I mean, it's just like in HiSec, if there's a problem, obviously you can deal with it, but you gotta deal with the consequences of that. You're gonna have that standing loss, which I think honestly should be stronger. Um, I think there should be a way to at least curb the whole standings paddings and padding with a corporation where you can stay -10, um, to a certain faction while you just fill your whole corp up with 10
mm-hmm.
alts that are near neutral standings. Um, but I think that's just part of it. I think the AWOXing problem for new people and for people that want to join faction warfare is a larger issue that it's something you have to deal with if you're going to have a problem person.
Okay. Then we have skill injectors. And
Hmm.
that's something else that's kind of polarizing within my community, where there's some people who've been around a very long time and think that because it was hard for them, it should be hard for everybody else.
Yeah.
You gotta love the E vets. And then, of
Uh
course,
huh.
you have newer players that are like, well, I can already fly this assault frigate. Why, should I have to wait and skill up the other three?
Well, like I said, playing this game long enough, long before skill injectors and all that other stuff. It used to be we could right click on a character, show info, see they're only a year old, and know that they don't have anything. And now you can look at a character, right click, show info, they're a week old, and they're in a Varger,
Yeah.
with full skills. And um, can it be a little much? Yeah, but I think that was just part of the adapting. I personally have no problem with it. I enjoy the fact that people can get into bigger ships and have better skills faster. If that's what you want to pay for, if you want to pay for that, then more power to you. Um, I think all that's going to do is help with that new player experience. You actually put some skin into the game as far as paying for skill injectors and stuff like that, and maybe it makes you want to keep coming back to the game, not just give up right away, and you have that ability to fly those ships faster.
So for the players that decide not to, advance themselves in that way, does your organization have like starter packs or a doctrine that people can just easily get into?
Yeah, so it's we don't push you have to fly this, you have to fly this cruiser, you have to fly this battle cruiser. Most of like the fleets that I run are geared around that small, fast, fun, frigate, destroyer class ships. And even if we're not flying that, the one big thing I encourage personally is bring a frigate, bring what you can, throw a micro warp drive on it, and just come have fun.
Cool. Yeah, I personally love frigates, so I 100% support that.
Well, as you can see behind me, I have a Fed Navy Comet, and that's one of our go-to ship comps. It's most people can get into it pretty quickly, and it's just fun, fast, and uh, hit and run type stuff.
Yeah, Navy Comet was my first faction frigate, so I have a definite place in my heart for it.
We run wee woo
Hmm.
fleets, is what we call them, and it's the ships that have police skins on them, like the Comet.
Oh,
And so we
nice.
basically just run around screaming wee woo and local, and killing whatever we can.
Well, I'm going to come out on your fleets now.
Absolutely, everybody's welcome. Like I said, join on in. It's a public group. I run most of my fleets in our public Discord. So
Awesome. So now looking back to what we've talked about, or maybe things that we haven't talked about, what do you think is the number one most pressing issue Eve has today?
new player retention, really. It's just keeping people interested in things and trying to keep everybody happy. You'll never keep everybody happy, but I know CCP's got to do the best they can with that. But we just got to keep new people coming in. Back when I played in 2012, 2013, peak Eve, when we had 60,000 people on every day, and it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of content now, and it's obviously taken a nosedive.
Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about that we haven't covered?
Not really. I mean, I'm pushing. Whether I encompass your area that you want to be in Eve or not, I would still hope you add me to your ballot there and vote for me, and understand that I'm trying to be the voice of the players. Somebody that's not tied to one of the null blocks, one of the large block groups.
So, Twitchland, you guys have an opportunity to ask Switch questions. So go ahead and start typing them now. If they want to continue this conversation with you in other places, where can they hit you up at?
So you can send me an Eve mail in game. I answer those. I check them every day. Somebody asked me, "Do you actually check them?" Yes, every day I
Awesome.
log in. I look at my Eve mails. We have a public channel in for heretics, or our alliance, or for Heretic Army, called Warp to 3-1. 3-1 being the old asteroid belt where fights used to happen before faction warfare plexers came up, and that's just Warp 2 words, and then 3, the like Roman numerals, -1, the number 1, like just like an asteroid belt. Otherwise, you can find me on Reddit. You can find me in the forums. Go to my campaign post for CSM19. I answer that. I check that every single day too. Come to Amamake, come to local there. I'll talk with you in local too. You can hop on Discord as well. Find me on Discord, Switch4, and I'll talk there too. We can hop on comms. We can type. I'm open to discuss anything with anyone.
Awesome. Okay, Twitch, you're losing your chance here. We're coming to an end. Sometimes I need a little encouragement.
Yep.
I believe in you.
But I'm reachable anywhere if anything comes up. Anybody watches it later and they want to reach out to me, they have any questions or comments or concerns, I'm here. So.
Well, it looks like that no one has any questions. You were pretty clear on everything. They know where you stand on faction warfare and new players. So I'm going to go ahead and thank you for coming out and talking to me. And I am so sorry about Sunday.
That's okay. My schedule is pretty flexible. I just appreciate you having me and your the people that come here to view these and get all the good information out of them. I don't know how you do it still, but
Neither do I.
I really appreciate all the hard work you put in for this.
Well, thank you
on
so
top of
much.
your campaign yourself.
I know, right? Oh, I do have one last question for you. I almost forgot.
Yeah.
What other candidates would you like to see elected?
Well, honestly, I not just because I'm on your show here, but I do love that the voice that you have for new players, and I think that's important to have in the CSM. More people like that. Young Puke, I know he had
He's
hollered
lurking
at me
around
here,
somewhere.
and yeah, he's always lurking. But I think it'd be cool to see him on. Also because he's kind of got the low sec mindset. We do fly with his group often, and I think if anything, it'd be nice to see him on there as well.
Well, very cool. Then I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. I'll get this up tomorrow onto YouTube along with all your links. And yeah, best of luck.
All right. Thank you. Best of luck to you as well. And thank you to your viewers for hopping on and watching.
Absolutely.